I feel my strength numbers have plateaued. How do I get stronger? Okay, I think my first question I'm going to have to ask this individual is, because there are so many reasons as to why our strength numbers can be plateauing. So let's start there. Why might an individual's strength numbers be plateauing? I'll start first one. Overtraining.
Yeah, well, I was going to say recovery.
Yeah.
So overtraining and under-recovering.
Perfect. Another one could be they're undertraining.
Yeah.
They're simply not doing enough. They're not creating enough stress in their body to actually progress. What else? Maybe even outside the training room. Maybe it's got actually nothing to do with training.
Yeah, I think just going back to it's just other stressors.
Other stresses.
Like we talked about, like if you are under-recovering, that might be the stressors that you're putting on in the gym. But we kicked this podcast off saying about all the other stressors that's happening to me personally, and we've got to take that into consideration. You can only, like, what's the phrase that they use? It's so you're not actually overtrained, you're just under-recovered, right?
Of those three, so basically undercooking it, overcooking it, and I guess just not managing your stresses enough. Obviously, there could be other things as well. There's so many. Yeah. You know, not getting enough calories in, not getting the right foods and nutrients into
if you're
the body.
in a calorie deficit, for example, it's very hard to gain strength.
Exactly. Right? It could just be the wrong type of training. If this person's talking about getting stronger, but they're doing metabolic or hypertrophy work all the time, well, perhaps that's why you're not getting stronger. So then there are so many, things that could potentially lead to why someone is not getting stronger. But I think for this individual, obviously, it would have to start with some form of just questions. You've just got to pose questions.
We've got to get some context
to try to identify what that thing is. But I think maybe something that we should just generally talk about here is the concept of minimal recoverable volume. That's something we talk MRV. We talk about it a lot. And essentially what that concept is talking about is we should be constantly striving to do the least amount of work that still moves the needle forward. So the least amount of work that drives the biggest amount of adaptation. What most people do is they do too much. They do everything. And then they end up having to pull back and pull back and pull back when they realize that what they're doing is not sustainable. Now, your minimum recoverable volume, which essentially, let me just dumb it down even more, is like, you want to be striving to do the least amount of training that's still going to get you, in this case, stronger. Now, if what you're doing in this case is, let's say, 2 sessions a week and you're getting stronger, do we need to do more? Yeah. We actually don't. Like, what you're doing is already leading to success. Why do you need to change it?
I feel like that's a very hard conversation with some people. Like the whole of the world, like society is telling everybody to do more, right? And what we're basically saying is we want you to be doing less but still see adaptations. So when you're only given, 3 sets of bench press, and that person's maybe had other experiences, would have been doing 8 sets of 10 or whatever that protocol was, GVT or whatever it was. Now they have to come back, and we're saying, you can do 2, but you're still getting stronger. That's a hard pill for some people to swallow, right?
It's totally. Comparison is the thief of all joy. Sometimes comparison is comparison against our former selves as well. What was I going to say there? Something on that note. I think it's really important to. That's it. It's the concept of once you've established what your minimum recoverable volume is, you have to also understand that's going to be changing on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As like life goes on and the stresses of life continue, the amount of volume that you can successfully adapt to may change from one week to another. And this is where the advanced, very aware athlete has an advantage, is they know how to adjust things like training volume, intensity, selection on a daily, weekly basis, which is called self-regulation. We talk about all the time, and to still be moving the needle towards their goals. So, anything else to add on? That's a really hard one to answer.
Yeah, it's a very loaded question.
It's a very loaded question. Yeah.
I think just one last thing on the we're talking about this with training, but also we're talking about like that minimal effective dose is essentially what we're saying is also in your lifestyle. We want that to be happening as well. Yeah. Like this is a principle that we can use for everything in life.
Yes. Give me some examples there.
Well, like nutrition, sleep.
So, for example,
everything.
What we're saying with nutrition is maybe you don't need to be weighing and measuring every single meal 5 days for 5 meals a day. Actually, maybe you could just be eyeballing your meals and just being super consistent and eating to 85% full, and that might get you better.
100%.
Obviously, with all this, you need to specify what better is, what success is to you.